Good morning, everybody. I hope you're doing okay. I hope your long weekend was good. I hope you're doing a good job and having fun with your 2-point perspective drawing. I'm going to give you some updates and some details on further details you can put into your 2-point perspective drawing. We're going to wrap it up this week. I'm not going to introduce any new projects this week because it is right before spring break. I want you to be able to enjoy your spring break, not having anything hanging over your head. So I'm going to show you some new techniques and expectations for today. Your project is going to be due on Thursday before spring break, before your long weekend. Remember, I have a teacher work day on Friday, so I'm going to be checking up and grading your work for your 2-point perspective project. So let's just jump into it. I'm going to show you some new techniques, some ideas, and sort of expectations, what I'm looking for when I'm grading your project at the end of this week. Okay, and then we're going to jump into new material after spring break. So stay strong, 4 more days until spring break. You got this, you can do it. Let me flip this down, show you what's going on. Okay, so I was just working on mine a little bit, thinking about how to introduce stuff to y'all and talk about expectations for this drawing. Let me get this right. That looks okay. All right, so let's just talk about requirements for this project. You are at the end of the day, after all the other requirements that we've done with the 5 buildings plus and the sidewalks and the alleyways, we've doors and windows and all that stuff. We're building on the requirements of what you're supposed to be having. And what we're going to be doing is I'm going to require that you create bricks on 2 of your buildings. So the whole facade, the whole outside should have bricks on it. You should have street lights or trees on both sides, and the concept and the technique is the same. It's just how you finish it, which is different, so we'll go over that. You need to have signs on at least 3 of your buildings, and we're going to be talking about lettering and sizing and stuff like that. And then I want you to be thinking about value work, any background items, and details. So we'll just discuss all of these things. So what you can see here is I've sort of worked on my drawing a little bit, finished it off a little bit more, made it look a little bit more fleshed out. In terms of background, if you can just see here with my extra dead space, all I did is I put some kind of quick sketch buildings right smack on the horizon line. So if you're working right smack on the horizon line, you don't think about angles at all. What is up, and what is straight across is straight across. So you can see here that my little buildings are up and down, tops are right across, and I didn't get crazy. I just did kind of little grids, and the idea of windows and items of that nature. So you can put some dark, some medium, some light, some little spaces in between. Just kind of the idea that there's more city in the background and we're just sitting on one corner of that city. You can see here there's more buildings of varying heights, and again, straight across, up and down, super duper easy, but it really helps make this city corner look a little bit more believable. Okay, so let's talk about value work. Value work. Whatever's further back is going to get darker. Whatever's closer to us is going to get lighter. Now, typically, streets are made of blacktop or pavement, and so it's going to be darker, and your lines in the center are going to be light. So all I did is I shaded around my white lines with the proper angles and just kind of shaded in between to make sure that those white lines pop out, and my blacktop looks like blacktop. Now you can shade it with the side of your pencil at first, but then to just get it a little bit smooth, you can use your finger, and I was using my finger earlier. You can also just take a triangle of sketchbook paper and roll it up, and it'll take a little bit to get it kind of pliable, but you're just going to roll it, and then eventually tighten it up on itself. Here we go. Roll it. And this is just to make a little blending stump or tortillon, and you can twirl the outside here. You just twirl the outside so you get something that's more of a point, and you can really work at your paper to get it really pliable. But this will help. Having those little ridges will help push your pencil around, and you can see that I'm just using the side of my blending stump just to kind of push some of that graphite around so it looks smoother. And all I have to do is take a little bit of tape and just tape the little point down. Okay, looks like a little croissant. So you can work on that, and that'll help get some blending stuff. So other value things. On my light poles here, I try to differentiate different sides by having some dark that's a little further away and light that's closer to me. Trying to make it look a little bit round by shading on one side. So keep your dark sides consistent, things like that. So even here with the light, you can even do some light value work on the inside, right? And then do some erasing, and then just do a little bit of like offset, like low lights and highlights, so it looks like a piece of glass or something like that. That's always helpful. So lots of different details, devils in the details. Things that you need to remember is what's dark is in the background, what's light's in the foreground, and just create as much contrast and much variance as you can. Let's talk about bricks, since that's your first requirement. You have to have it on 2 of your buildings. So what I did, as you can see, that I started out, but I just made dots. Oh. The timer went off. That's okay. So I just made dots on the corner of my building, and I made these dots evenly spread out. And all I did is I took my straight edge and I just angled from my dot to my vanishing point, and I drew a line. So, and I did that every single time. As I worked my way down, I made sure I stayed on my vanishing point. So you'll notice when you're below the horizon line, your horizontal lines end up actually going up to that vanishing point. And then to make the bricks themselves, is all I did is I took I really tried to pay attention to making my kind of grout lines really straight up and down to make those bricks, okay? And then I just did kind of in between every single time, and I just went up and up and up and up. So you'll see here, just going straight up and down. And then you don't need to use a ruler the whole time. You can sort of start to get the hang of it. And when you have stuff overlapping, obviously you don't want to crash into each other. So just think about that sort of deal. Okay? So there's one thing I did. I made like a little ledge here, and I kind of made it dark to make it look like it was a little kind of cap on the building. So that's kind of a nice detail to do. And again, that's just like a little skinny box. All right, so you need to have bricks on 2 of your buildings. So if I was going to do bricks on, say, this building, my bricks would end up being smaller for sure. So I'd make my dots really close together because I want to make those bricks look like they're further away. So I'd make those dots really close. And then again, you're just going to go dot to vanishing point, and they're going to converge at the end of your building. So be okay with that, but just make sure that your angle is staying consistent the whole time. And notice that I'm re-pointing or putting my ruler on my vanishing point each time. So I would go down, 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 down. And then these lines stay really, really vertical, okay, as you work your way. So give yourself some space. I would always do it in the buildings that are more close rather than the stuff that's further away, because it's just easier to take care of. All right, and you can see how it would go on the other side. I would use the same dot, and I would go further back. Again, make sure you realign every single time. Okay, and I'm just moving my head and watching what I'm doing. And I'm doing little vertical lines as I go further back. And it's just a nice detail to have. Makes it look more textured. And again, you can get some more value going with the buildings that overlap. It'll look nice, and I'll just continue that all the way down to the edge of this building. So let's talk about we talked about bricks. Let's talk about street lights. All right, so what I did to start is I just made a line. I made a line. So if you're doing street lights or like trees in the ground, it's the same idea. You just pick a point on the edge of your sidewalk where you make a line or orthogonal line that goes to the vanishing point. So we'll start right here, okay? So you can see I made a line right here, and it's lined up with that back street light over there. So I'm going to pick a point. I like it right here. I'm going to go ahead and make a super light line. Now this is going to be the edge of where like the dirt is for a tree. So then I'm going to make another point right here that angles to my opposite vanishing point. Again, we're just making like the dirt patch for a little tree. So then I'm going to come back again to my left side, and then I'm going to go back to my right side to finish it off. This is my dirt patch for my tree. And this would be kind of like the same idea for the bottom right here of my street light. And then I'm going to erase the rest there. I'm going to put another tree in that second slab. So I'm going to get rid of this line. I'm going to keep this guy. So over here, once again, I'm just going to use the same line so it stays consistent and the same size. Use that same line in that same patch. I'm going to make the front of it going to the right vanishing point. There you go. I'm going to make the back of it going to the right vanishing point. And then I would just erase any excess lines. And you can do this even, oh, that's your Kahoot warning. You got 10 minutes, you got 10 minutes. Sorry about that, that was Eva's Kahoot warning. All right, so then what we're gonna do is I'm gonna start by making just a basic tree trunk. So to make that basic tree trunk, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of make a round-ish thing like the bottom of the trunk. I'm going to come straight up, and you're going to end up drawing right on top of some of your previous things. So you're going to have to be okay with that, because remember, trees don't care where the other things are. All right, so then I'm going to fill in. I'm like, oh, I like this height for the tree. Okay, so I'm going to watch where my kind of branches splay out. I'm going to fill in with a little bit of value my trunk, and I'll refine this and add like bark and details later on. Things that make me happy. All right, and then let me get the corner of that building back. Okay, there we go. All right, so then here's some trunk action. And then what I would do is I would start to work on, and you can do any kind of tree that you want. You can do like a branchy kind of a tree like I'm doing. You can always do like a palm tree. Those are easy to do. There's lots of, and you just choose kind of what you want to end up having to have. And then I'm going to do, splay that out. It's just Y's and V's. That's all you're doing. And you can cover that up with some like kind of leaf action. And I'm just going to do kind of squiggle lines for now. And those can turn in to some kind of funky leaves. I would fill in all this other stuff. Now, in terms of your trees that go back into space, and it's just like this other piece over here on this side, all you do is you determine where the top of your pole is, and you can see my lines that I did on the other side. You determine where the top of your trunk is or where the top of your pole is. You make a line going down to your vanishing point there, and you can see that's where I stopped my other one. So this line is right in line with the vanishing point. This is in line with that guy. All right, the top of this is in line, so I just made the same things using the same angles, but just on a smaller scale. It's just proportionally getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So you need to have minimum at least 2, if not a third. And the third ones you can kind of almost freehand, because they're so much easier and so much smaller, less detail as they go down the street. So I would do top of my trunk, because, you know, theoretically, if you're in this city, all these trees would be planted at the same time. So I've got kind of my trunk area, use the top there, and I would do, and I would also kind of guesstimate the height of my tree, and that can be another line, but since they're so far away, it's a little bit easier sometimes. And then you can do kind of your little squiggles again to get the top of the tree, and just kind of makes a fun detail. You can do a little dirt patch. Again, just make sure that you are creating those differences. Okay, so that's tree stuff, which looks kind of cool. All right, and obviously you can message me if you have any questions. So at least 2 on both sides. Okay, 2 on both sides. All right, signs on at least 3 of the buildings. Making a sign is just like making a window, except like for this sign, you can see that I made it a little bit thicker. So from the corners, I went to my opposite vanishing point And then from the bottom, I went to my opposite vanishing point. Okay, and then all you're going to do is do a little bit of shading underneath because it's like the underside. You can do a little bit of lines over here. Things that you need to really understand, though, is that anything that appears straight should really be going towards the vanishing point. Okay, so you've got a good deal of information there. So just make sure anything that's straight goes to the vanishing point. So we got bricks, we got buildings, we talked about streetlights and trees, we talked about signs, value work, background, details. So, you know, really, if you want to have trash cans, if you want to have little cafe tables outside, you can do that. There is lots of options. You know, look on the internet, look at street corners, city street corners, kind of take ideas from that, and just kind of go from there and have fun with it. Make sure that these drawings look really fleshed out, and again, they're going to be due on Thursday. And I want to see some beautiful work, okay? Put numbers, put addresses, put, you know, shop hours on a sign. Like, have fun with it, okay? All right, you guys be good. Have an awesome day. Have an awesome week, and I'll be looking for these on Thursday before spring break. All right, message me if you have any questions. All right, bye.